Hello everyone, and welcome to my review on the Mandalorian series, the new series on Disney Plus, the new streaming service, Disney Plus. Now, I'm going to say right now that I don't have Disney Plus. I'm also not torrenting it. I just found a site that showed the episodes, and I'm just using it to watch them, because I really don't want to give Disney any of my money at this point. But, as a huge fan of Mandalorians, and a huge Star Wars fan, I had to watch the series, and so I'm going to give reviews on each episode when it comes out. And I have the episode 2 review coming on the way, but for now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the first one. So, as said, let's get into the grit of the episode and establish if this is an accurate representation of Star Wars. The Mandalorian, like some of the EU comics, has a spaghetti western feel to it, particularly in the cold open of the episode. However, as the episode progresses, it gets more talkative, lively, and some might even say heroic, which is a lot of themes to hit in the first episode. I'm not entirely sure if that is a good thing. They marketed the series like it would be as if we were watching Jango or Boba Fett's daily life, but instead we see this Mandalorian, while skilled and a man of fewer words than most, quite different. You get the feeling he dislikes harming innocents, he gets a bit anxious under pressure, cannot harm a child, and seeks to be like his ancestors. Those I wouldn't mind in a character if they didn't try to make us realize all of this in such a short amount of time in Chapter 1. Although I will speak on the later point on his ancestors, because this is something Disney is doing right, and something we only ever saw in the expanded universe. The Mandalorians are a clan culture, with their own religious rites, traditions, and legends. We never got to experience that with Jango Fett or Boba Fett. We only ever saw it in the comics, or games like KOTOR 1 and 2. But here, our titular character actually brings back tribute of his bounties to an enclave where his clan lives, and he is given weaponry and aid in return. And for anyone who knows Star Wars Mandalorians, the Mandalorians are, if not a dying race, then a very fractured or not race because they're a culture, but you know what I mean. If not a dying people, a very fractured and endangered people, I should say. I love their keeping with the Mando culture and treating him like just another Mandalorian in a loose clan, even if I was expecting a veteran lone wolf like the Fetts or Canderous Ordo. Not to take away from this Mandalorian's skill, because apparently he is the best bounty hunter in the parsec. The episode certainly packed much into its small time frame, and while I'm critical of this, I was also somewhat dreading if I would have to wait 40 minutes for anything plot important or exciting to happen like we often do in hour-long shows, at least in the first episodes. They opted for a quicker approach, and while I still love the episode, I think it could have been balanced slightly better, and they might have taken some of the gimmicks out of the second half of the episode. The farmer spiritually guiding the Mandalorian that seemed more reminiscent for a Skywalker rather than a Mandalorian, and the Mandalorian needing to be the spastic guy to bounce off of the hunter droid when they were surrounded by enemies. I feel as if Jon Favreau has taken too much influence from the Marvel movies he's been in. However, he has written this very well, and I would still give it a solid 4 out of 5, which is better than I can say for almost everything else Disney has made recently. I got to say, the little things and the small nods they added into the episode were refreshing. I love the idea of freezing people in carbonite to transport them as portable bounty heads. That, and when the Mandalorian was surrounded by stormtroopers and they said they outnumber him 4-1, and the Mando said he liked those odds. I think we all know that talking about the odds is something we all know is a Star Wars staple, so putting it in Episode 1 was a good nod to the franchise. I suppose my biggest disappointment was the fact that they marketed the Mandalorian to be akin to a new Clint Eastwood, and while he has some traits, don't get me wrong, he really does, he still has that Disney softness to him and a room to grow as a character. And let me be clear, you do not need to have character development in order to be a good hero or character. There's something in the writing world we call iconic characters. Characters that don't change because of their circumstances change because of the character. There's plenty of characters like that in cinema and video games, and even in real life. Conan the Barbarian, Forrest Gump, Jesus, Master Chief, at least between Halo 1 and 3. And you guessed it, Clint Eastwood in most of his Western characters, and Jango and Boba Fett. They are iconic characters. Clint Eastwood's Western characters particularly, they mosey into town, and they are so goddamn cool and dangerous that it's the town that bends to them, not the other way around. You don't need to see them grow or develop, either because they're developed enough, or we, the audience, like them the way they are, even if they might be a bit problematic. A good, classic bounty hunter story set in the Star Wars should use an iconic character, and this Mandalorian, while interesting and definitely has his good qualities, is not that way. At least it didn't seem to be that way in Episode 1. I'll talk more about it in Episode 2. But in Episode 1, I got the feeling that he was sort of trying to go through some sort of quasi-spiritual growth in certain parts of the episode when we just want to see him do cool shit. However, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad of a thing. It's just something that I prefer, and the episode itself is really good. I can't wait to make an Episode 2 review. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you have a good day.